One of the first things to consider when using the Ground Control Pro with the AxeFX is how to power the MIDI controller. There are a couple of options available to you. Number one, plug the adapter into a wall or power unit such as a pedal power. Or number two, allow the AxeFX to pass power to the Ground Control Pro. For the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to power the Ground Control Pro via the AxeFX. The AxeFX has a great feature that allows the unit to pass through power to a MIDI device via pins 6 and 7 of a MIDI cable. When using the following method, the AxeFX does not actually provide the power for the MIDI device. Power is still provided by the MIDI device's power adapter and passed through the AxeFX. Plug your Ground Control Pro's power adapter into your rack's power center, i.e. a Furman or Monster Power. Then plug your adapter's barrel connector into the power input of the AxeFX located above MIDI in. I have seen some confusion regarding which cable to use when powering a MIDI device via the AxeFX. Most 7-pin MIDI cables will work. Personally, I use the Rocktron RMM900 for the Ground Control Pro. Take your 7-pin cable and plug it into the MIDI in on the AxeFX. Then take the other end of the cable and plug it into the MIDI out of the Ground Control Pro. Go ahead and turn on the power to the AxeFX. As you can see, both the AxeFX and Ground Control Pro come online. Now we are going to get the AxeFX and Ground Control Pro talking with each other. For this tutorial, I assume that you will have a basic understanding of both the AxeFX and Ground Control Pro. Since this is a basic tutorial, we will be using MIDI channel 1 to communicate with the AxeFX. Go ahead and enter setup mode by pressing the 2 setup buttons on the Ground Control Pro. Next, press the device name / channel setup button. Since we are only communicating with the AxeFX, we will use the first device slot of the Ground Control Pro. Rename the default label to AxeFX. The number after the / tells you what channel the Ground Control Pro is using to communicate to the AxeFX. For this tutorial, we want the channel set to 1. Press the right cursor button until you see the Starts With dialog and change the number to 0. This setting tells the Ground Control Pro that the AxeFX starts its programming numbers at 0. Press the right setup button and then Yes to accept the changes. If you do not want to use the instant access buttons, setup is complete. As you have probably observed by the labeling on my Ground Control Pro, I use the instant access buttons for controlling effects in any given patch. In this part of the tutorial, I will show you how to set this up. Let's begin. Go ahead and enter setup mode by pressing the 2 setup buttons on the Ground Control Pro. Next, press the utility setup button, then bank down. By default, the Ground Control Pro is set up to use 10 presets per bank. We want to change this so we can use the instant access buttons. Press the +/Y button to change the settings to use the 4 preset per bank. This setting changes the Ground Control Pro to use the larger numbers at the bottom of the unit as the preset controls and enables the upper 8 numbers as the instant access controls. Press the right setup button and then Yes to accept the changes. We're not quite done. We will still need to assign continuous controller messages to the instant access buttons. Now we will assign continuous control messages to each of the instant access buttons. Enter setup mode by pressing the 2 setup buttons on the Ground Control Pro. Then press the instant access setup button. With the cursor highlighting the GCX number, use the +/yes button to scroll to the continuous controller display. Let's take a look at what this display means. From left to right, the first number is telling you the instant access number. The CH01 is telling you that the message will be transmitted over MIDI channel 1. The CTL000 tells you what control message is being sent. For this basic setup, we're going to assign control messages based on the instant access numbers. Move your cursor to the control number by pressing the right cursor button. Then press the +/yes button until the control number matches the instant access number. Next, we need to set the type of message. Press the right cursor button and use the +/yes button to scroll through the message types. 3 options are available to us: normal, transmit with preset, and momentary. For this tutorial, we will set the type to normal. Use the bank button to change to the next instant access button and repeat the process. When all instant access buttons have been set up, press the right setup button and then yes to accept the changes. Now restart both the AXFX and Ground Control Pro. The Ground Control Pro is all set up and ready to be used. In this part of the tutorial, we're going to set up the Ground Control Pro to control the tuner of the AXFX. This process may be repeated to control just about any of the effects in the AXFX. Press the I/O button on the AXFX. Use the page right button to navigate to the Control tab. Scroll down to Tuner and press the Enter button to turn on Learn Mode. On the Ground Control Pro, press the number 4 Instant Access button. Press the Recall button on the AXFX and you're done. This tutorial was a basic overview on setting up the Ground Control Pro to function with an AXFX. We went over powering the Ground Control Pro via the AXFX, setting up the Ground Control Pro to use 4 preset buttons and 8 instant access buttons, and set up an instant access button to control the tuner of the AXFX. My hope is that you are able to build on this basic foundation and get the most out of the AXFX and Ground Control Pro.